Chris, Latu, he just seems to have like a way about it. Like forget about the football, but just like his nature. What about his personality, demeanor, kind of like struck you, I guess, first off?
Well, you probably experienced it yesterday, right? He just has a real down-to-earth demeanor, an easy presence, easy go about him. He's an easy guy to root for, you know. I know he probably mentioned his story to you. He probably talked about it in detail, but you just like the guy's grit, at the end of the day. We talk about that all the time, just trying to find guys who love football. And I think sometimes you have to dig like a little deeper, try to find, do they truly love it? But his was pretty easy to see, right? Like the things he had to go through, the things he had to overcome. It's a unique story, a unique journey for him. And I think it's just a testament to him as a person, the kind of special makeup he has. And I think, those kind of guys, they have that grit, that determination. They're going to push through when things get hard. So I think that's what we're looking for in players, especially a player of his caliber, and a high pick too, so.
You guys made him the first defensive player, so draft pick. So I guess what do you feel like he brings that sort of next level, that's sort of game changing?
Just from a physical standpoint, well, it's easy to see too, right? You turn on the tape, it kind of jumps off the tape. Those guys are easy to write, I think. The ones who have the standout traits. He's athletic. You see the get off right away. He can bend. He's got a long list of pass rush moves that he puts in play. All the time. He can win up the field. He can win inside. He can come down the middle with power. He's great with his hands. He's got moves and he's got counter moves. I mean, I saw it at practice this year. In August was the first time I saw him practice this year at UCLA. Just watching, it's funny. You watch these guys in the summer. I saw him play last year too at Oregon, 2 years ago, I should say. But then just going into it this fall, I see him in August at UCLA, and he just dominates their offensive line, and they have a good group of offensive linemen. But it was a standout practice for him. The motor jumped out. He wants to go. He wants to take reps. He's kind of fighting to take another extra rep. So that was my first exposure to him this year. And then you fast forward, you see him at the Senior Bowl. He's the best defensive lineman at the Senior Bowl. He was the standout pass rusher down there. And then, he did well at the Combine. And you go to Pro Day and you watch him work out at Pro Day, and he's explosive. You feel the twitch, you feel the power, the way he can get off the ball, the way he can contort his body. The physical traits, to me are the easiest part to see with his game.
So he's one of those guys, rare guys maybe, that when you first see him, you think he's a cut above.
It's obvious to you, I think. He's just different in that sense. Yeah.
Did he ever explain to you how he got so much better without playing? Like, it was kind of jarring to see, like, he hadn't played.
Sure.
He was back in 10 and a half seconds.
Sure. It's just, I guess we were kind of touching on it to begin. It's just a testament to him. He's putting in work when he's down for 2 years not playing football, watching YouTube. He's studying YouTube to find pass rush moves, and then he's adding them to his repertoire. And then it works for him too. This is a dude that 2 years didn't play football, comes off the couch, comes out of his house and goes double-digit sacks 2 years in a row. Just by practicing with himself, So I just think the guy was born to rush the passer. I truly do. I think he's just a natural pass rusher.
Who'd you have again?
Bordolini and Carlisle from Missouri.
Okay. So what's the hallmark of Bordolini for you?
For me, with Wisconsin, you're getting smart, tough, reliable offensive lineman. He's a guy who started at 4 different positions for them. Played guard last year, and then once Tippmann left, went in and bumped inside of center. The best thing about him, I'm sure you guys saw his personality. He's outgoing, jokester, but his nickname is Badger, and that's kind of the staple of their program. So when you get the nickname Badger, he represents the program extremely well and what we want in our locker room.
When you come back with Chris and say, okay, I think this guy, do you say, I think he's a center, or you say, no, he can play
Obviously, he's built more for the inside at our level. A little bit of undersized to play tackle, and obviously the length isn't all there. But I mean, he went down to the Senior Bowl, played with the best competitors there, played both center and guard, held his own, had a very good week, and then obviously went out to the combine, tested extremely well. And then he had another good pro day showing. So we value that interior versatility, and just having the brain to play it all is really something unique about him.
Carlisle, when did it kind of dawn on you that this guy could be a linebacker for us in the NFL?
Yeah, JC's kind of got an interesting story. Goes in the SEC, only recruited by Missouri to play defense. All the other schools that were recruiting him wanted to play wide receiver. So I like that. He bet on himself to go play in the best conference in college football. He goes in, he's 200 pounds, and he's starting 3 games at corner. And then he goes in and plays free safety. So I think this year, like late in the season, you see him on the hoof, and you're like, damn, that's an NFL linebacker. He's 6'3", 230 pounds, 235 pounds, 34-inch arms. And he plays down in the box a lot later in the season this year, and you're like, oh, yeah, he can do it. You got guys like Divine Diablo, who our defensive staff had in Oakland at the time. So, I mean, he's got a lot of versatility to him, and definitely the figure to see what we want as a linebacker at our level.
He played down in the box, a little bit recently. How does he use his length to, engage offensive linemen, get off and make those tackles?
Yeah, I mean, he's very good with his hands. He knows how to use his length. He's good at locating the ball. I think personally he was at best when he was closer to the line of scrimmage. He just saw things quicker. Things kind of shrunk down for a little, and he was able to utilize his strengths to his game there. And he made a lot of plays the game against Ohio State in the bowl game, the Arkansas game late as well. So I think he's still ascending, even though he's been kind of a 3.5, 4-year starter. He's still a young dude who's still learning the game and how to play it.
Is it less of a transition for him because he did play in the box, or is it still a jump that he's got to make to be a full-time linebacker?
Yeah, I mean, it's still going to be a jump to fully being there rather than kind of being moved all over the ball. But you like to see that he's had the experience in his past.
I was just going to say, like, just from a coverage perspective, though, because at this level they got to cover at linebacker so much. Yeah. Does he have less growth to make there just because he's played at DB?
Yeah, I would say that the coverage aspect of things is something we like. We saw him on tape covering Brock Bowers, covering the tight end last year from Georgia as well. So that's definitely a benefit he has coming into the system early is the coverage skills. Now he's just going to have to learn how to play in the box a little bit more and use his size and length in the run game.
With Carlisle, we know it's obviously a collaborative effort with you guys, the scouts, and the coaches. Was Cato June able to offer like unique perspective, having done the same transition?
Yeah, I think both Cato and Coach Smith, they like those safeties that can convert to linebacker. And obviously Cato did it, and I think those coaches have a good plan in place of how they're going to utilize them and how they're going to develop them. So I'm looking to see throughout the rest of this process how they use that with JC and what his career path can go to.
Did that make you feel better about like being able to like sell him? Like, look, we've got a guy who's done the same thing.
Yeah. I mean, having the coaches on board is definitely a benefit of it. And then when you go in the coaches meeting and they're comping guys to guys they've had in the past, like I said, Divine Diablo, it's definitely something that helps your point to get this guy drafted, and he's going to be a contributor on our team.
Chris, did Anthony Gould?
Yeah.
So when with the rule change, it was only recent, I guess. So I don't even know if you're able to take that into account. But how are you scouting return men today? Does it change what you're looking for?
Yeah, well, I think it changed. The new rules do change it a little bit. That's now back on the table as a potential weapon, big play, opportunity for us. So he's got a lot of experience returning punts. He's got 2 they took to the house, 2 years ago. So, yeah, he's definitely a weapon in that sense, and I think the kickoff stuff does come into play.
He called the kickoffs like glorified punts the way it's set up now, so it shouldn't be a transition.
Yeah, smooth transition, hopefully, you would hope.
When you look at him, he sort of bristled a little bit that he's a return guy, because he thinks he can be something on offense as well.
Yeah, he showed that too. Yep, he had a long catch and run for a touchdown against San Diego State this year. So he's not just a returner. I don't think that's fair to him. He played in the slot 2 years ago. He played outside this year. He is fast, explosive. It's funny too because he is a very good returner. So that does help his stock. And then you see that too on offense when he gets the ball in his hand. He turns into a returner.
Chris talked about that. A lot of it's finding a way to have a guy dress on Sundays. And if you're going to be that fourth or fifth receiver, you got to be the return guy, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. You guys know how it is. You know, there's only so many roster spots, especially on Sunday. So the more you can do, the more value you have. And shoot, if you can steal an explosive play as a returner, you know, that's only going to help us.
What do you see out of him as a return man that's just different than the other guys you scouted?
Speed, for sure. And he's got a fearlessness about him, too. He's a smaller guy, but he's not afraid to get vertical. You know, he'll hang in there, catch a punt, and then get vertical, and then he's got the threat of hitting a home run for sure.
Like Downs or not?
Yeah, there's some similarities there, sure. Yep.
Chris mentioned that you and Turpin did a lot of digging on Latu, his character. Like, what makes him an ideal fit for the culture?
Humility, I think, stands out with him, first and foremost. Passion for the game, passion to get better. He's a good teammate. I think he has a hunger and a desire to maximize his abilities. You know, I heard you guys asked him what his hobbies were yesterday. He said he had none. It's funny because he just loves ball. You know, he wants to talk ball. He wants to get better. So, to me, that's very appealing. You know, the guy that you don't have to motivate. Like, he's going to be here self-motivated and wants to get better.